So tell me about the kit that you're bringing on the road with you on this tour.
Basically, it's the same kit I've been using for maybe the last 5, 6 years. Actually, I've got 2 or 3 that are exactly the same. But the one I've got right now is custom painted. And we were trying to decide a color, and we went. I said, well, and the lighting guy is always chipping in and going, well, you need to be this color and that color. And then he said, well, I have 6 kinds of sparkle I do, because I knew I wanted to have a sparkle. He says, well, I've got 6 kinds of sparkle, and I've never done this before, but I've always wanted to. Can I just do them all? So he mixed all of them together, and the drum kit looks like a white, verging on champagne kind of area. But when you get close to it, it's very, very tiny speckle sparkle, and it's got all of the colors that he did in a sparkle, which is about 6. So when you get intense lighting on it, you can see it glows these other colors when you get close to it. So anyhow, it's 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16 is what I usually use. I used to have an 18 on. I downsized to a 16 because I just think a 16 is kind of easier, kind of tuning for the kind of stuff you play in like a band like Yes, because it's very, the note you tune it to is something close to a D, so it's like Ds are a very common chord that a lot of bands use. It's basically that, and I use an Axis double pedal and 22 by 17 bass drum. And a zillion cymbals on Ludwig drums. Currently, I downsized on my right cymbal here from 22 to 20 and made it more of a K because it's more of a little bit more of a rock and roll cymbal, and it doesn't ring so much and take up too much space in the sound on stage. So that, and then I downsized also on my crash cymbals. I now use pretty much like a 14 and 15 dark crash. They're called dark crashes because they have an initial kind of splash, and then it kind of doesn't take up too much room in the music again, and it's placed well. So if you find that you've got cymbals that take up too much room in the PA system when you're mixing a band, the engineer starts not putting them in. And if you've got cymbals that are very short and very clean and don't ring as much, you'll find you get turned up in the PA a little bit more. So it's kind of a reverse psychology kind of thing with the engineer. This is an orchestral cymbal I use. It is a little bit longer, so I use it in certain parts of songs where you need that to embellish a little bit more cymbal work. And this is inverted China, which is great for doing very, very quick stabs in the music and pinpointing things. And basically that incorporated with all of the drums and everything around it, it works well. I have a brand new set of Yamaha who I'm endorsing now that I love. Basically, I've got 6 pads and a brain that handles all of those pads, and I use those. Most of the time I put a generic sound that sounds like the kit I'm playing. And that's what I go back to if I'm not using it for special effects. And then just in case, say, something went wrong with the mic on any of these drums or whatever, I have another set of electronic drums that can take over at any time. But then most of the time, I put timpani in there for certain parts of Yes songs, and then I have crotales in there, and I have also Owner of a Lonely Heart, for instance. I have the beginning section where the drums are compressed. It's a real old sound. In the middle of that song, I have those on samples that are actually off the record. and I just trigger them live on stage myself. And that's one of the ways that they're very, very handy to use on stage. I can emulate all of those things from the record by electronics. So it's a full package. The Yamaha have come up with a system that's really, really good now.
So tell me a little bit about this kit. This is very unique.
But this snare absolutely weighs a ton. I'm estimating it weighs something close to 50, 60 pounds because it's made out of pure glass. And this drum kit was made by a guy called John Orlick, who lives in North Carolina on some island off the coast. And he approached me at a show once, and he brought the snare drum, and he said, I want to give you a snare drum. I went back on stage and used it for the encore that night. And it sounded just absolutely wonderful. And a short while after that, I'm not sure, maybe 2 or 3, 4 weeks, he said, oh, I'm building you a whole drum kit. And I said, wow. I said, that's got to look impressive. He said, yeah, well, he's a stained glass guy, and he's a drummer. His living is making stained glass pieces. So he decided to make this kit out of all glass. And as you see, it's all made out of separate beveled pieces of glass held together by all of this brass. I mean, there's a lot of work went in this, and the actual frame for the drum is held together on the outside by brass hoops. And it's the same on every drum on the whole kit. And as a result of that, when you put the whole kit together, I'm estimating this kit must weigh something close to 500-600 pounds. It's like a drum tech's nightmare.
So you're getting ready to go out on tour with Yes. What do you do to prepare for a tour typically?
Gardening. No. Basically, we all send emails to each other and come up with a set list, between us that's subject to change when we get into rehearsals. But usually the format's pretty much finished, so we all do our homework. I would say maybe 50 to 60% of this tour we're doing was the set list from the tour we did this summer. So we're all kind of tuned into those songs. It's just a matter of brushing up on certain parts. And then we're playing the whole of the suite from the new album, let's put it that way. So almost the whole new album. So we have to brush up on some of that stuff because about 3 or 4 parts of that we haven't actually played together yet.
How long does Yes rehearse before you actually do a show?
Well, sometimes it's only 2 days, depending if we've been doing a tour that we just stop for maybe 5 or 6 weeks and we're doing the same thing again. We'll rehearse for a couple of days just to get things tight. But with doing this new music, we're rehearsing for about 5 days in Portugal this time, in which I leave next week.
When you are on tour and you're getting ready to go on stage, what is your routine? I mean, warming up. I mean, do you have a kit backstage?
I do a sound check every day, and Steve Howe does, and sometimes the whole band does. But everybody basically checks their instruments out and does a warm up and gets a good sound in the respective auditoriums or whatever we're playing.
When you're playing live, what type of monitor do you use? Monitoring system, in-ear?
Yeah, I used to use in-ears for about 5 years, and I don't know, I felt like I was starting to play slightly different to what I usually do for some reason. And it wasn't kind of feeling organic to me. I had a couple of really bad jolts when the stage sound engineer didn't throw the limiter in, so you get a blast in your ears and you just rip them out. Chris Guy never wears them. John Anderson, who was singing with Yes, always wore one. He just wear one just to keep himself totally in key. Benoit, who's singing with us now, he uses both in ears, and Steve's never used them. Jeff Downs actually uses them, but he uses he doesn't use the ones you usually see him. They just look like a normal set of little tiny headphones for a little Walkman or something. So I don't. I just have a couple of wedges on stage. I have them bounced in stereo. So wherever the instrument's at on stage, I have the instrument coming out of the speaker. So you feel like you're in the center of the band, like sound-wise as well as visually.
So you don't have like you change the mix, like you want more bass or more vocals, or?
I have a chrysometer, and it's a little knob, so it's a control of his bass, a direct injection that comes through this box and goes to my speaker. So if he's too loud, I can turn him down and turn him up, which I find I do most of the evening, because every guitar, he changes guitar pretty much every number, and they all have different volumes of output. He has a limiter in his system that keeps it constant when it goes out there, but for me it doesn't. So if I see him putting the green guitar on, I know it's going to be louder than the last one. So I have a certain amount of marks on there for the different guitars. So it's a constant crisp monitoring situation.